Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming to our third and final budget hearing. We look forward to hearing from each and one of you on the budget. I would say to you that if you come to speak during the budget hearing, make sure your comments is about the budget. At this time, Mr. Clerk, if you want to call the roll.
Mayor William Bill Edwards.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Catherine Rao.
Here.
Councilmember Carmelita Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Helen D. Willis.
Here.
Councilmember Naima Gilead.
Here.
Councilmember Rosie Jackson is in the back. Councilmember Khalid.
Present.
And Councilmember Mark Taylor. Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Madam City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and the residents for coming out. We have advertised a time certain 6 o'clock public hearing, and we have commenced that according to the regulations. I would like for you to know that this public hearing was properly advertised in all of the appropriate organs. What I would like to do now is to ask our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Millage, to go through the PowerPoints as it relates to the millage, as well as the budget. We will do our presentation. We will hear from the public. Any discussion on the particular items we would like to take up, because there's an action item on the agenda for approving the millage, for approving the budget, and that's when we will actually make the motions for approvals. Mr. Millage.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and the Honorable Council members. This is our third public hearing of marriage and the budget hearing. The first page that we have is recommended by the state, it's required by the state that we show off what are the statutes that permits the city to hold the public hearing and have the budget fiscal year. And on the second page is about the marriage. This is the city of South Fulton advertised the marriage of 7.71. 9 mills, while Fulton County informed us that their marriage was to go to from 3.86 to 4.43. The city of South Fulton reduced marriage rate from 7.41 to 7.149 in order to keep total marriage rate of 11.579. And the calculations will be at the bottom of the page. 2016 marriage rate was 0.11579, and marriage equivalent of reassessed value 0.00051, and rollback marriage rate for 2017 is 0.012089. The first part of the page is the same. I'll go to the middle part of the page, which is the digest. Gross digest is 3,118,775,526. And the next ones will be exemptions across the city of South Fulton. And the net digest, if you remove those exemptions, we see 2,190,208,355. And here is the calculation. City of South Fulton, this is what we advertise. So I'll go first with the marriage that was advertised. 7.719 mills, and Fulton County 4.430 mills, total of 12.149 mills. That would have 2017 mills is less than 2017, 11.579. It would have been an increase of 0.570. Again, I'll go to the calculations because the entire top part of the page is the same. The calculation now, this is now. City of South Fulton marriage rate instead of 7.719 decided to still hold it down to 7.149 mils. Fulton County still 4.430, total of 11.579. That one makes City of South Fulton not increase taxes because they didn't want to put the burden on the citizen. So as you see at the bottom of the page, 0 mils increase. We are required by statute that we provide 5 fiscal years of the tax. Since we are just a brand new city, we did not need to provide the 5 year because we don't have historical data. Next year we'll start, this year, next year we'll start having it, but this is for this fiscal year of 2017. And I'll go to the bottom of the page where you have the gross millage rate of 7.719. This is how it was advertised, and this is how we proposed it to. Less millage rate rollback is 0. Net millage rate 7.719. That would have allowed the city to levy money for operations to $16,906,218.29 if we had left our millage rate at 7.719. But this is the fact of what the council decided. Again, I've got the bottom of the page. The top part is the same. Gross millage rate, instead of 7.719, it's 7.149. Less millage rate rollback, 0. Net millage rate, 7.149. And this one enables the city to levy operational taxes of $15,637,799.53, giving the city a shortfall of $1,248,418.76. With all the changes from 16 million to 15 million, the proposed budget for general fund is a total of 65,080,927, which is 9,841,442 more than full-year budget of 2016, and that gives an increase of 18% of the 2016 budget above the 2016 budget. Summary of the revenues. The top 2 revenues are our highest revenue for the city. You have local option sales tax at 21,688,222. And the second one, as you have seen, that we would have levied 16 million if we had maintained the tax rate at 7.719, but there was that reduction of 0.57 mils, which was $1.2 million. Now our revenue will be, in taxes, will be $15,657,800. Budget changes. These are the following budget changes that have taken place so far up to this time I'm making this presentation. Decrease allocation of police department from 16,737,294 to 15,737,294, moving code enforcement expenditure from police to community development services. As you will see, that's a reduction of $1 million, exactly $1 million. How was it distributed, that 1 million? We moved from police, it went to the following. 1 million from police was distributed as follows. Community development allocation of 487,157 to fully fund code enforcement. Funded 7, council 8. The funded budget manager position in finance of 107,953, additional council operation expenditure of 31,500, mayor operating supplies of 3,500, and the rest of the allocation went to contingency. This would be the distribution. Wherever you see the red, those are the changes. We have been working up to the last minute before I just come here. So that's where you may see some other changes here and there. But that's, anything you see in red reflect the one that I have just itemized on the previous page. These ones are reflected in this page. So you have changes in the clerk's budget to accommodate the council aides. You have the change in the mayor on the operating side of it. You have the changes in the city council. Then you have changes in the community development services with that move of 487 that we brought in from police for the code enforcement. Then we have the changes in finance to add the budget manager position in the finance department. And lastly, there's a change in contingency. Now we have the contingency of $40,937. With that, I'll be available to entertain, or the manager to entertain the questions.
Manager, yeah. She was pointing at if you wanted to.
I don't have any further comments, so if you would like to go to public comment from the public.
Recognize Councilman Willis, she has a question.
So in our first budget hearing, coming in the one at 10 a.m.
Could you save that till the action item?
Okay, I had it.
Okay. No, I just didn't want it to get
Okay.
into too much.
Okay.
This is the public hearing.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Wait,
Yes.
so I do have a question. And comments. My question is, we are about to cut our taxes by $500,000 so that Fulton County can get $1 million for whatever they need. So Fulton County, I just want to be clear that everyone understands that Fulton County is raising property taxes on us because of what they call uncompensated absences, which is basically just paying out people their sick time and their vacation time when they leave Fulton County. When we bring people over to the city, we're going to transfer their jobs, they get 90 days probation, we're going to transfer their salaries basically, but we can't transfer their leave time. And so Fulton County, because they did not budget to pay all of it out, they're like, oh, we'll charge the taxpayers and raise an additional $1 million so we can pay folks out. So we're cutting our taxes so that they can find this $1 million, and then there's no raise on your property taxes. My question to you is, once we cut our taxes, should we find that we need $1 million for something, that they need more money or whatever the case is, we find we've had all these budget crises every month, right, that we've been a city. There's been something that happened when we found out, oh, Fulton County needs more money. So we need to raise that back up again. We can't just do that by a vote like that. What is that process if we find we do need these $1 million back?
If you need the money from the county or you need to raise taxes to collect more.
This $500,000 that we're cutting, so we're gonna reduce ours by $500,000 so they can raise theirs by $500,000 and then net zero. But if we wanna raise ours back up later because we realize, oh, we needed that $1 million, how does that work?
This is the cutting from the increase from Fulton County's temporaries just now. Next year, you are 4 to 11.579. That's what you did in 2016. As of now, because of that burden, we are having a budget of 12 months, but we have only revenues for less than 8 months. because the other chunk has been taken by Fulton County. But this is just between now and September. Thereafter, we will be back to our 11.79. It will be up to you to leave it there or up to the maximum that the community allowed you to. Beyond that, you have to go to the community to let them know we want to increase, and it has to go through referendum.
I think what you're trying to get at, once we set this millage rate tonight, right, you can only go down. You can't go up.
You can't go up.
Right. So once it's set tonight, that's what it's going to be until the next fiscal year. So just want to make that clear.
And so my concern is there are a lot of things that we need. And for us to keep this millage rate the same and Fulton County to raise it on an average house in South Fulton, it would be like $20 to $50 for this raise, which if you're paying it in your tax note, we're talking about $3 to $4 a month. And for that $3 to $4 a month, they come up with $1 million. And there are a lot of things that we could do with $1 million. We could hire 22 new police officers with benefits for that $1 million. But if it's more important for us to keep this promise and for you all to keep this $20 or $30 in your pocket, I just want us to be clear about how much it actually is costing us for us to cut this $1 million. So.
You want to ask two questions since the question has already been asked. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll wait.
Okay. Okay.
Just a quick question, for CFO, you can answer from there. As it relates to our actual adopted budget for 2016, because the comparison is included for fiscal year 2017, can you share with us the actual amount of revenue versus what's budgeted and where we are relative to that?
For 2017, 2017, the revenues, we had very limited revenues. And as you know, we started from nothing.
Right.
So we relied much of the revenue on what we got through time. That has been our main source of revenue. And we have been very fortunate to be getting our sales tax. It started with 1.8 in May, 1.8 in June. July, we got $2 million. So it's going up. That has really helped us. And the permits, again, we are doing very well on the community development services. So we have very limited revenues.
So clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Based on what you're saying, it's roughly 5.6 million versus the 26 million that was adopted for fiscal year 2017. I just wanted that to be noted.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Perkins, let's get some comments from the citizens. How many cards here?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, we've received 6 speaker cards so far. If anybody that has not already submitted a speaker card, with Julie's going to come down now, if you please just get a blank card and complete it for us so we can put you in the lineup. I'm going to call 3 names at a time and ask that you please come down to the podium as your name is called. Ms. Demita Chapman, Mr. Penning Lockhart, and Ms. Daphne Jordan.
Greetings, Mayor and Council. My name is Demita Chapman, 7303 Simon Street, Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm standing before you guys to talk about your budget. When you guys ran for office, you knew that you had jobs and etc. But to ask for 7 A's and to cut stuff out of budget to help you is ridiculous. When you can put that $322,000 that I saw there, put it towards the police. Why cut something out of a budget to benefit you guys? I'm gonna tell you now. I told you I was gonna support you. But I'm not gonna support you in your BS, I'm gonna tell you that now. And I'm gonna work with the citizens out there that they do not have to go through the misery and the being mocked by you city council. It's a shame when you have to pick up the computer and see the mess. Now, the meeting that y'all held this morning, I heard it was a disgrace. I'm asking you guys to take y'all self out of the picture and do what's right for the citizens that you serve. If you're gonna spend that type of money on aids, put it towards the police that we have already lost 18. Put it towards that parks and recreation. If you can't type or run a computer, get a college student. I sit on my butt all day at home, I help you. I'm asking you guys to obey the city manager. She said last week you didn't have the money. Obey your city manager, that's all you have to do. What you got her there for if you ain't gonna obey her? Thank you.
Good evening. To the Mayor and City Council, my name is Penham Lockhart. I live at 415 Old Town Circle, City of South Fulton, 30296. I am president of the Chippewa Forest Homeowners Association. Concerning the millage rate increase and budget increase, we stand opposed, first of all, to the increase. When we were vying to become a city, one of the key questions that citizens were asking was, will my taxes be increased? We were always assured that we would be able to operate the new city at the existing level of services without any tax increase. As a matter of fact, we would have a surplus to plan our future course, even with Fulton County holding out funds for employee benefits, pensions, and so forth. Taxes would only be increased if we desired additional services for the new city and voted for an increase. So I recommend that we operate within our means, at least for the first year, even if we have to make some internal adjustments. We're just starting out and we can't do everything at once. So if we have to exercise some restraint and integrity, I think that we should do that to operate within our means. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lockhart.
Ms. Jordan, Ms. Tiffany Knighton, Mr. A.W. Davis, and Mr. Christopher Hayes. Ms. Jordan.
Good evening. I'm Daphne Jordan, and I am a resident of South Fulton. I've been here since 2010, and I am livid of the 5-2 vote to rescind budget for recs and parks that my son has used since he was 3 years old. I think that is fiscally irresponsible for part-time city council people as yourself to consider doing that for part-time work. The most work I think I've seen some of you do is issue out proclamations, and there's more work to be done. We are not in the business to hire you a personal assistant, and you have the option to have graduate interns. I would strongly encourage you to review that, because if you don't, what has come in my inbox 10 times today is to recall each of you. And trust me when I tell you, it can be done, and we have the time and the money to do it. So please think about fiscal responsibility, especially those of you in the Black Lives Matter movement. When you were actually campaigning, you mentioned you wanted juvenile programs. Well, they use the park and recs. It's really irresponsible to take funding from them for you to have an assistant, especially if you can use an iPhone. If you would just simply respond to some of your constituents' emails and some of their phone calls yourself, you would not need a personal assistant. So again, I am warning you that you have a group of people that are ready to hit go on recalling you. It is something that can be done, and I really wish that you all will look at the budget again before you make your final vote and reconsider using budget from our park and recs that my son, who is now 9 years old, he uses that. He's on a winning championship team. The park fields need to be, they're dilapidated. Some of our signs do not work. and you're gonna take funding so that someone can answer your phone calls? I think that is so ridiculous. So again, if you need an assistant, there are graduate interns that would be more than happy to help you, and we are not in the business from our tax dollars. As you mentioned, they're ours, not yours. We're not in the business to fund your assistants. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Knighton. I'm a resident in Old Madison subdivision. I'm not going to repeat the same thing that they stated because that's actually what's my notes. But my thing is, when it comes to the safety of our citizens, budget could be used and the funding could be used towards the police department. And that is a definite need in the Old Madison place and Old National area, which I'm pretty sure you all know that. For its recreation for the kids, I am a strong believer if we put into our kids that they will go into another direction. I come from New Orleans, so therefore I know Rex helped because it helped me. It helped a lot of my family members. So I just appreciate if you all would look into finding other ways with the interns to be personal assistants, because I think that funding could be used for more important things.
Thank you.
Following Mr. A.W. Davis is Mr. Christopher Hayes. You could come approach the podium, and Ms. Brenda Moore, so that we know you're here in the room, Mr. A.W. Davis.
Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon. My name is A.W. Davis. I live in District 4. I still live there. I live now. But let me make a suggestion. First of all, hire an economist, someone that truly understands what you're facing. In 1913, America created the Federal Reserve. What is the Federal Reserve for? The basic purpose of the Federal Reserve is to make sure that America's ambition matches America's reality. The office of the city manager and the office of the county manager were both designed with that in mind. Mrs. Jones only has one job. I know you all probably think her job is to run around and get coffee, donuts, and manage all the departments. She only has one job. Her job is to make sure that the ambitions of the people behind you match the reality that you face. When I look at your budget, and it is a black budget, I don't have no problem talking about white people and black people. Because see, I come from a place where we don't have no distinction. I don't care nothing about black and white. That's craziness to me, that's foolishness. So, when I looked at this budget, that's a black budget. It's got a Cadillac, but no money for insurance. That's not good. We can do better than that. When we first started this, what we say? We want to save streets, we want to clean streets, and we want a prosperous community. You can do those things, and you can do them under budget. But you have to do something that Mrs. Gilliard alluded to earlier. You have to have a zero-based budget. I started studying zero-based economics in 1978. You can go home, look in your computer, and you can't even find zero-based economics. It's the overall concept of what makes a zero-based budget work. 1978. What I'm trying to tell you is that everything you want to do is possible, but you have to understand how to do it. And all of the complaints that our citizens have, you can answer them with a positive response with no problem. But I guarantee you, if you hire an economist that actually has knowledge of what's going on, they will teach you what you need to know. Can't hire me, because you can't afford me. But I'm guaranteeing you that you can afford some economist that's willing to serve. Enjoy your evening, and as always, may God bless each of you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Good evening, my name is Christopher Hayes. I've been living in South Fulton for 12 years. I come representing Welcome All Park. I'm a parent of a young black man in the community. I've been coaching at Welcome All for 4 years, and I started receiving messages about cuts, so I don't know all the ins and outs. But I will tell you that I do think that parks and recreation is integral into having our black youth in this community have an outlet. We already have those issues. The parks, we travel around, one of our players is here. I've been working with Fulton County. We win championships in all sports in this area, but when we go play at other places, then come back and have to play in the parks that we play in. You know, I'm up on that field every week, and the field is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I would just implore that, you know, if you need to make cuts, look elsewhere. We want safe streets, education, athletics, mentorship, that's all a part of it. And the athletic fields, you know, it's not all that we have, but it's a big part of some of the African-American youth that me, my other coaches, the Welcome Park Association, we play basketball at Sandtown, we play on these baseball fields. We're hanging on by a thread. You know, a lot of these coaches out there, you know, we play at 10, we're out there at 6 o'clock trying to get the field ready. The piece of field. The piece of field together. And I don't know all the particulars about assistance and all that, but I know that it's not a good thing to take from where we're already lacking. So I just hope you have a good evening, and I'll leave y'all with that. Thanks for the question.
Following Ms. Brenda Moore, Ms. Jill Johnson, Courtney Hendricks, and Ms. Juliet Rankins.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Brenda Moore. I live at 8043 Wilkerson Lane. I have communicated with some of you, all of you actually, regarding some of my concerns as it relates to the budget. Now, I really don't want to be redundant. I think everyone has already said everything that I wanted to say as it relates to the budget. I stand opposed to the council aides, and as I stated to you all in my correspondence, I do support an internship program. I stand opposed to any cuts to the police department. I just don't think that's an option. As a matter of fact, I think we need to put more money into our police department. We have a lot of issues that's going around in the city. You know, I don't even know what the city is, as a matter of fact, because we're so fragmented, but I know there's some pockets that are more challenged than others. So I would implore you not to cut any, but look at possibly, you know, even putting more money there as it relates to policemen in terms of the ones that are on the front line in terms of their salaries. I think they need to be increased. As it relates to salaries, I just want to say that I looked at all of the salary and grades that you propose, and I think quite a bit of our budget is going towards salaries. And when I look at the fact that our salary and grades are consistent with what's going on in Fulton County is really concerning to me, because it's my expectation, and I thought that some of us wanted to do things different and not be a mini Fulton County. There's no way we can compete at the level that Fulton County is currently operating with these salaries. We have people with some of the job descriptions indicated that you only had to have a GED, but the entry-level salary was $40,000 for a clerk that's administrative coordinator. I just think it's ridiculous. If you don't have a bachelor's degree to come in at $40,000 doing clerk work, I don't understand it. The other thing, when I looked at the park, I only saw 3 job descriptions under $30,000. That was a park aide, a janitor, and a mechanic. Everybody else was upward of mid $35,000 to $40,000, starting out at the low end. So I don't advocate for anyone to lose their jobs. I don't advocate for anyone to salaries to be decreased, but I think we have to be fiscally responsible, and we cannot be another mini Fulton County. We just don't have the revenues, especially. You know, I came here to say I don't want my taxes raised, and I don't want my taxes raised, but I think you all have to figure that out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jewel Johnson, and I want to talk about the budget as I see it. I've been a resident of Fulton County for over 40 years, working in the county and city. I've had an opportunity to work with Atlanta. I've worked with Fulton County, College Park, Union City. I know people from one end of the county to the other. I've had an opportunity to view a lot of budgets. And I've heard my fellow citizens come here this evening, whom I have the most respect for. And I want to say that when you were looking at the budget, I've heard several people say, we're cutting for Parks and Rec, and we're cutting from the police officers. Well, when I looked at the budget, I could kind of see that what we were doing, because police and recreation is not coming over to February, we're temporarily moving money around, and that's what people do when they do budgets. They move money around. I can say that because I've had the opportunity of working with many of areas. And I know, and I believe every one of these council people and the mayor know that I'm highly concerned about safety and Parks and Rec. These problems we have with Parks and Rec are not new. They was there with Fulton County. The city and our mayor and city council have agreed to help us fix this. We're not going to leave it like that. I want you to know that I like the budget as it stands right now. I know that there may be some more changes, and when those changes occur, I might not like it then. But a lot of us may not understand the budget, and I would like for, when you guys speak to the audience, tell them how that budget is done, how you move monies around. You're not cutting nothing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Courtney Hendricks. I've been in South Fulton about 8 years now, live in Walden Park. I'm here tonight to voice my concern about the budget cuts to the police. I was in Walden Park when we had a severe crime issue when James Calhoun was running through our neighborhood, probably about a year before he was involved with that murder. So I know firsthand there's a crime element in this community, and cutting the budget to the police is not the solution. So I mean, I hate to repeat this, but this is how I feel. I feel strongly about it. I'm on the neighborhood alerts, so I get the alerts. I'm just telling you how I feel, and you know it because you're here. Someone's car getting broken into at night. Every day is something. Somebody's getting robbed at gunpoint. Cutting the police funding is not the solution. We as citizens are willing to probably help, troubleshoot, brainstorm, whatever we can do to help you guys. I know this is new, so nobody expected it to be perfect, but sitting here tonight and I saw the slide come up on the screen, I felt disappointed, quite honestly. So I would ask you to readdress that before we make a final decision on the budget, because this is not the solution. And I would leave you with some advice one of my old manager gave to me, and it was, think about the optics of things. So think about how we're going to justify to our children and to our other citizens to say, we cut $1 million out of the budget so we can have assistance. This doesn't seem right, it doesn't sound right, and it doesn't look good. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Following Juliet Rankins, Ms. Pamela Harvey, and Ms. Akila Harper.
What I wanted to do is just thank you guys. A lot of people had talked last time about the arguing and the fighting and stuff, and I kind of love it. And the reason I love it is the people who are sticking together, they're fighting for me. And I like that. And I want to thank those people. And the mayor said he didn't know anybody who wanted the voting holiday in Fulton, South Fulton. I wanted it, Mayor, because as you can see, education is needed. All these comments, education is needed very badly. And I know you had something in the past where you did a program where you educated the citizens, and that's needed again. The thing I wanted to say about the salaries, I was very upset about the salaries, that the city manager hired the people at $94,000 assistants, and we're not in line with the other cities. We're not in line with Sandy Springs. We're not in line with Roswell. Our salaries are out of line for the new people who were hired at $94,000 and those high salaries. So if we have to cut those salaries, I have no problem with it because they're out of line. It shouldn't have been done. Okay, we didn't even have money and we were spending money.
So that needs to be looked at. And another thing that I wanted to do is to encourage you guys to get money for the communications director. Okay, she's one of the high salary people, but it's almost like, does she realize that y'all trying to get her to do all that? And she's saying she needs a company to do that. And I'm saying, please get a professional company to name our city. We deserve that. Please don't go cheap on that, because we deserve the best in having our city named, our branding, our seal. Thank you, Councilman Baker, thank you, but we deserve the best in that. So we can't go cheap on those kinds of things. And please continue to fight Fulton County. They are sucking it out. I don't know if these people realize Fulton County is sucking like a big sucking noise. Fight people, fight for us. Okay, because that's where a lot of our money is going, and then that 4 months that they have to get that we don't have. Okay, so please continue to fight for that and continue to educate the citizens about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pamela Harvey. I've been in South Fulton since 1994. And it was unincorporated. The area that I lived was considered agricultural, and it was so agricultural that the man down the street from me had a farm, and his steers used to get out of, his cows used to get out of the patch, and I found 2 in my front yard one time when I came home from work. But I love this area, and I want to see it improve and make it the best. And you, as you know, and Councilwoman Willis knows that my priority here is economic development. I do not want to see any money at all taken from this area. And you know, I have to ask you, why do you need aids? If you need aids, there's a resource out here that you can utilize through retirees. Councilwoman Helen Willis's suggestion of interns, and we need to work with a skeleton crew when you are starting out. If there's anybody who knows anything about managing money, it's me. So if you're starting out, because we can't compete with Smyrna, Snellville, all these big cities that have money coming in, that already have money, we need to work with a skeleton crew. And people have mentioned salaries, the salaries of people, and I've noticed those salaries, and you know, you gotta pay people for what they're worth. But if we can compromise, because we are at the infancy level of establishing a city, then we'll get a big reward later on. But I do not want to see any cuts to economic development whatsoever. And let me just say something about this aid situation. You can't promise jobs to people that were your campaign managers. Amen. Okay? If you promise them jobs and they were working free as your campaign manager, the big payoff is not to use us to pay them off. Okay? So we know what's going on here. And I want it stopped. So I really don't want to see this subject of AIDS anymore on this list. Because I'm with Ms. Jordan here. We will recall you if we have to.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
The last speaker is Ms. Akila Harper.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here as a mom. I'm clearly dressed. I was on my way to football practice with my kids. I have 2 boys who play football at Sandtown. They play baseball at Sandtown. And I have a daughter who plays tennis at South Fulton Tennis Association. I'm taking my kids from Sandtown this year. And that was prior to the budget cut. Do y'all know how bad those fields are at Sandtown?
That's right.
Do y'all know that we had a game last weekend against North Cambria? Our fields weren't even striped.
Right.
Y'all know that during the baseball season, our coach had to come out and stripe our fields. We don't have lights on the bottom soccer. Our kids are practicing on the baseball field because the bottom soccer field doesn't have lights.
Thank you.
But y'all want to take $233,000 from my kids and they friends. So now I gotta take my children to Douglasville to go play sports. Or I let my kids play baseball for Club Hustle out at Gresham. Which isn't that much better, but at least they there. We don't have, like, I don't understand. And 3 of you all came to my neighborhood. I live in Legacy. 3 of y'all came to my neighborhood a couple months ago and ran under the guise of safe streets, lower taxes, and my bigger thing was programs for the kids. Y'all lied. Y'all stayed in that Legacy Clubhouse at Cascade and lied. That's not cool. Like y'all said, we're gonna build something for the kids, we're gonna build a community, we're gonna have more businesses and stuff in here, and all I see is y'all getting paid. And I'm disappointed. And I voted for this. And I wish I had it.
Thank you, ma'am. That last one.
I just go right along. Okay, well, that was fast. Excuse me, good evening. My name is Kimberly King. I'm a resident of South Fulton in District 2. And I'm here today, I wish I could pull my letter up pretty quickly, but just really to express my disappointment with what I've been reading in terms of how the budget's being handled. I will speak on a separate issue for the next meeting, but I'm disappointed that we are considering moving funds from 2 revenue-generating departments in economic development and parks and recs to pay for assistance. And the assistant issue has been widely discussed and widely smashed by all the residents. They don't want you guys to do that. It's not consistent with what other communities of our size have. There have been other models that have been presented where things are funneled through the city clerk. That's not happening. We do understand you need help, but taking money away from the parks and economic development is not going to work. Every time we read something about Amazon or somebody else looking for a space, everybody is always saying, oh, but maybe they'll come to South Fulton. Now that we take funds away from economic development, how are they going to compete for those businesses? They can't do it. And secondly, I guess because we are going to talk about it here, I'm disappointed. I need more information, I will say that, in terms of what I've read about the candidate for the chief judge of South Fulton. Based on what I've read about this candidate, there were other ones that were more qualified, in my opinion. And she also represented the dry cleaner owner who was rude and racist. And if that person is going to be put in a position of authority, I think we need to pick somebody who is going to represent our interests, especially as our inaugural judge. So I just encourage you guys to remember what made you run. I think we all want our city to be best in class. We have mistakes that we can learn from. Let's do that. We all want to aspire to the best. Let's demonstrate that. To be a leader is to aspire and to demonstrate that behavior. And I just want you guys to model the behaviors that you said you wanted when you pursued these positions. You have my support, but at the same time, I want to be clear, if we need to follow other options, be it recall or something else to make sure that we have people who are committed to serving the citizens of the city, I'll do that too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Let me thank everybody who came up to make comments. And let me say to you that it ain't easy, and sometimes we don't look like the way we should. But I can tell you that we're moving forward, and we're going to try to change a lot of things. A lot of things we have heard, and we want to change to look better. Because very simply, if we don't do it, we're not going to be able to hire nobody. We're not going to be able to keep anybody. So we got to change, and I think all of us up here, as we have communicated, is willing to make that change for the betterment not only for us, but for the city. We are your representatives, and we need to look like we represent y'all. And so we're dedicated to that point. Ruth, before we go any further, I want you to, because some things I think wasn't clear. For example, in the police department, clear that up. That is not a decrease or taking money from the police. So we all just explain that. I mean, there's nothing rude about it. I just want to make sure everybody understands that we didn't take a dime from the police department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I pulled the mic because I wanted to make those clarifications. Prior to August of this year, code enforcement was in the police department. Code moved to the Department of Community Development Services. We took the money that was in police for code, only for code. We did not touch anything related to the police department, just for code. And as you could remember from the slide that was up earlier, 487,157 of that went to community development services for code. We did not cut any of the money for police operations. And so I just want to make that clear, that it was moving the money that was designated for code enforcement over to community development services. In addition, I would also like to stress, in the recommendation of the budget that Mr. Milazzi just gave, there is no cut in parks. N-O, none. I will admit that was a discussion at an earlier public hearing today. However, Parks and Recs is one of the first priority initiatives of this council. And I knew that anything that I could do to keep from having that negative impact on parks, I needed to go and do. And we went back, in 4 hours, went back through this entire budget. And we were able to ensure that there are no cuts in Parks and Recs.
Okay, I think one of the things, Mr. Milazzi, I think one of the things that we do a slide, because the slide was a little bit misleading. It did look like that we were taking a decrease from the police department without any other explanation. And so when we do slides, we need to make sure that we have a total understanding. Councilwoman Williams?
So I do see that we did move the money for council aides to our city clerk, and so the recommended budget is now $684,000 to accommodate the city, the council aides, 7 council aides at $44,000 a year. Where did that, can you explain where we're pulling those funds from to accommodate that?
Because we did not, we had already enhanced the budget for community development services. And so when we went back, including looking at the code area, we only needed to increase them for code $487,000, which left us the opportunity to fund the council aides.
Yeah, so the other question is, so we're not going to cut Parks and Rec, we're not going to cut economic development.
Right.
No, ma'am, we're not.
I think what I'd like to do is because like, why don't we do this as we close this out? Why don't we just give each one of you a couple of minutes to talk about the budget, 2 minutes, and then we can move on to adopt it. Is that okay with everybody? All right, Mark, you want to start?
I don't. I think the city manager did a good job. It was just explaining that.
Okay.
And she did, as far as Parks and Rec. That's what we wanted everyone to understand. You will miss whatever tale got out to you all today. It was not done correctly. They should have waited until the end before they took it to the street. And that's the bottom line. No, I'm a street person too.
So a motion was made, the motion was made, and it was a second, and a vote was taken to allocate the money from Parks and Recreation and Economic Development to the city council aid. So that did happen, and a vote was taken. However, I am going to say I do not support us spending the money on police, spending the money on council aid when we do need more police.
Yes.
We do need fire department. But I am only one vote. And I voted according to what my constituents wanted me to do. And that's all I can do at this point, is vote at the will that you desire me to vote.
Thank you.
And I am sorry to public safety that we have part-time assistants walking in the door, making $44,000 a year, and your starting pay is $41,000. I'm a wife of a police officer, so I live that life. So therefore, I do sympathize. I do not support this. I voted no, and I'm sorry. I'm saying I'm sorry to public safety.
Okay. Next.
I think the city manager covered it.
Thank you.
It is very important to be transparent and not to, take something this little and blow it out of proportion. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. Because I have gone through this budget line by line ever since August the 11th, when the first budget came out. Because I know what condition we're in, and we're like 4.5 months into this. So we're not gonna have all these wonderful and great things that we want, but we try hard to get there. And every time we get this far, Fulton County throws something at us. But let me tell you about the police. When we met with the police in August 1st, we met with the departments, parks, police, fire, others. They told us they had 133 officers, that they were budgeted for 152. Okay? In this budget is 161 officers. That's the difference between 133 and 161. And our chief is back there and he knows that what I'm saying is the truth. Okay? So we're not taking money from the police department. That needs to be real, real clear. Here it is, right here on the detail of the jobs, okay? Let me go to recreation. This is recreation's budget.
Say it loud.
Recreation, 106, okay? That's what they are budgeted for. They asked for maybe about $5 million more than their budget. Are we going to get there? With the capital plan that we talked about earlier this morning, we're going to get there, but we're not there yet. We have not taken a dime from Parks and Recreation. And just like Ms. Jackson said, if people had waited until this evening, you would have got the real story. This is the detail.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Kids don't matter.
Yes, Mayor, I would. Earlier today, Mayor, you said that you thought we had a messaging problem. And I agree. It has been 141 days since we became a city, and we haven't sent out one newsletter. I've sent out 30. I do a newsletter every week. Actually, I went out and found several interns without a resolution or without any money. I found several interns on my own. One of them is here. Would you please stand? If you'd like to sign up for that newsletter, you can sign up with him. It goes out every week. So one of the things that I hope happens is that we start getting newsletters out, and that we speak with one voice. I think another important part of speaking with one voice is not complaining on social media when we don't get our way. When we make a vote as a council, I stand by every vote as mayor and council, whether I was on the prevailing side or whether I was on the losing side, because we are a team. And lastly, I would say, I think that political education is very important. I don't see a young lady from New Orleans who talked about that, but I was a graduate of Bill Edwards, Fulton County Citizens University. I believe several of us were as well. And though we did not get an election holiday, there is still going to be a day long of political education. Next month, it's the Old National Electoral College, and whether you live on Old National or not, you are invited. You can find out all this information at collegecares.com. And I do have office hours right here from 10 to 4 every Thursday. Thank you.
Lastly, then once again, let me thank you all for coming out. For the last couple of meetings, we've heard from citizens, and some of it was hard to take, but it was all true. And tonight we hear the same. Now it's up to us to make the change. Nobody can change us but us. And I'm committed to do that. I feel the same way I felt about the AIDS, that's fine. I've done what I need to do. It's my personal feelings. I ain't here to veto, I'm vetoed out. So I'm not here to do that. I'm support the vote, whatever the vote is, I'm gonna support the vote and let it, well, let's not say support, I'm gonna go along with I'm gonna go along with the vote wherever it is today, because this got to stop. All the Georgia games and the Channel 5s and the Channel 2s, all of this has got to stop. And we don't realize that if we don't stop doing what we're doing, when we get the risk management, we're not going to be able to find insurance from a risk manager, because they're going to look at the record of what we're doing. We got to do things professionally. So I'm beyond all of it. I didn't get my win on this, but it's okay. In this business, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but you got to keep going. We got tons of talent up here. If you just realize those who have the talent to just work together for the common good, it's able one common good, and that's the city of South Fulton, Georgia. That's the common good. So I'm committed. We've had conversations one-on-one. We've had conversations with groups. We're going to move in the right direction, and hopefully you'll become proud of us, you know, as your leaders, as we prevail in the future. Thank you all so much for holding us to the fire, for saying what, I'm not mad with nobody, y'all come up here. I thank you for coming and saying what you're saying. And please, please, continue to do it. You know, my mother used to say, she had one prayer: remove the stumbling block, even if it's me. And that was a powerful prayer, because God may think it's me, I don't know. But that's what she used to say. And so we want to remove all the stumbling blocks. We want to come together as a unit. You know, I don't read, what is it, Facebook, what is it? Not the Facebook, the thing. Next door. Whatever, all that stuff. I don't really read that stuff. People send it to me every now and then, because I'm going to do what you want me to do. And you voted for me to lead, and I'm going to lead. It may not be always in the right direction everybody want to go, but I'm going to follow my heart and follow what you say, and we're going to take this thing. This is going to be, someone said it a few minutes ago, in 10 years, this is going to be the best city that you ever want to see. If I can just get a name. That's another conversation. Once again, thank you all so much. Well, don't, y'all ain't have to leave now.
What's wrong with that you have?
Huh?
What's wrong with the city of South Fulton?
That's up to you. Let's go. Next. We got to start the meeting.
You got what? Oh, no. Get that thing right and go and work on the road. Keep that thing.
Excuse me, are we going to, you can't holler out like that.
Okay.
I'll talk to you on the sidebar when it's over.
Okay, sir.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I guess to get you started, everyone is present, so a quorum is here. All are present, in fact. I would ask Mr. Mayor and members of Council if you would please make a motion to adopt today's agenda. And the reason I ask for that is because we have we have an item to be added to the agenda as requested by both the city attorney and finance. And the title of that resolution is a supplemental resolution authorizing, among other things, the issuance and sale of a taxable tax anticipation note in the principal amount of $3 million. And that's in addition to the 3 bulleted items on your printed agenda for the 7 o'clock meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept those items.
Second.
Probably move to second in discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Looks like it passed unanimously, am I correct? Yes. Okay, that passed unanimously.
The first item on your agenda is a resolution to fix the ad valorem tax rate of the city of South Fulton for fiscal year 2018 and for various other reasons. That's under resolution number 2017-048.
I move that we adopt resolution 2017-048 to fix the 2018 millage rate of 7.149 mils.
Second.
Probably move to second in discussion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
It looks like it's unanimous. Okay, it's unanimous.
The next resolution is a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2018 final budget for each fund of the city of South Fulton, Georgia, appropriating the amount showing in each fund as expenditures and expenses, adopting the several items of revenue anticipation, and prohibiting expenditures or expenses from exceeding the actual funding available, and for various other reasons. That's under resolution number 2017-049.
Mayor Pro Tem. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt this budget.
Properly moved to second. Now you can talk.
Quick question. As it relates to the city clerk's budget, and I understand some money was shifted to contingency, one of the things we learned in our very first budget hearing was that the information system that was proposed by the city clerk cost, I think it was $14,000. I think we really need to visit that because, again, I'm committed to transparency. And one of the things that our website is going to be very cumbersome. It's too many documents. So we need to make it as user-friendly as possible. And so I'd like to see at least the additional, I think it's, right now, it's at 8,174. I think the total proposed was 14,000. And so I need to confirm that with the clerk.
Mr. Clerk, what was your number?
I think a good budgeted amount would be $12,000. We were not able to get really to that point with the fiscal year 2017 budget. So by the time we get along in an RFP process, I think it will require a funding appropriation in the fiscal year 2018.
So I would like to, in addition to what's been proposed in the budget, I'd like to increase the professional services line up to 12,000 so that we can make sure we have a system that's going to be user-friendly for the public.
Mr. Commissioner, I think you made the motion. 12 or 14? Did you make the motion?
He said 14.
Yes.
All right. So this would have to be an amendment to your motion. Would you accept that?
I accept Councilwoman Morales.
Okay, he has accepted your amendment.
But it should be 14, I believe, and not 12. I think the first time I saw it, it was 14.
It was original, and I would take that because one of the vendors, just so and I can explain it. One of the vendors, for example, although it was an annual figure of 12,000, they're going to require a one-time fee. The one that I was told was 1,000 from one of the vendors, but I can't pick a vendor without it being competitive. So I'm a little hesitant about saying the exact dollar amount.
Mark, what's your dollar amount?
Right.
I will take the 14, sir.
All right, we'll redo that.
So So I would like to make a motion to increase the professional services line in the clerk's office to $14,000 and pull it from the contingency line item.
Okay, Mr. Lee.
I read accepted.
Okay. All right. You had some comments about the same line. Go ahead.
Do you have in your budget a speaker queue? The system for the speaker queue?
Yes, this system actually will provide for a speaker queue.
Okay, good.
It's a document repository and it's also meeting management software.
Good. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I think that's unanimous. Y'all looking good. Go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
Your next resolution is a resolution appointing Tiffany Carter Sellers as the Chief Judge for the Municipal Court of the City of South Fulton and for other purposes. This is a nomination made by Mayor Edwards under Resolution 2017-050.
I want to briefly talk about this nomination. You know, by charter, I get to nominate individuals that have to be confirmed by this council. This is my second nomination for this position. The first nomination was voted down by the council. And as a result of that, what I did as mayor is I appointed a council of 3 state judges, 1 federal judge, and 1 lawyer. And I asked them to help me to find someone that I can appoint. This was a pretty lengthy situation in doing this. They even went far beyond what we did as to put in requests to other legal publications so that other people who wanted to be considered could come in and do it. After that process, 4 people were submitted to me to talk to, interview. Out of that 4, 2 came to the top, and I chose Miss Tiffany Carter Sellers. Now, that was the process. I thought it was a fair process because it took me out. It took me out of everything. And I gave it to some professionals, judges, who know the judiciary and know what to look for. Let me say this. Some people talk about experience. About the 4 people that were sent to me, only 1 had experience. Nobody comes out of law school and becomes a judge. It don't happen that way, all right? It takes experience on the bar to do this. So I don't get into the, what you call the thing? That computer stuff, social media. I don't get into social media and all this kind of stuff about what people do. I know that if a lawyer has a client and that client is in trouble, then the lawyer has a responsibility to defend that client, no matter what many of us think. All right, that's what they do. They love money. Anyway, so I respectfully submit this name of Tiffany Carter Sellers. And ladies and gentlemen, we need to move on this. This is money. This is revenue that needs to be coming into our city. And so this is the second time I'm bringing the nomination. And so I don't think I can make the nomination, can I? Can I make the motion? I can't make the motion. Okay, I'll accept the motion to.
I move to make a motion
To what?
to accept the nomination for Chief Municipal Judge of the City of South Fulton.
Yes,
Tiffany Sellers.
I second.
We properly moved the second in discussion.
I'm sorry, I am on social media, but I had not heard this thing about the dry cleaner. And I see that Ms. Sellers is here. I just wonder if we could have her speak to that.
I don't think that's fair to Ms. Sellers. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to Ms. Sellers. I was asked that, and I just think that we don't need, I think you can talk to her on the side or whatever the case may be. She can defend herself, and maybe some client, some attorney-client privilege in there that you won't even have to discuss. Okay, the property moved to second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand, I can't see it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. It's a vote.
Yes, there is discussion.
No, I'm calling for the vote.
The vote has been called for.
It is voted up or voted down. Okay, the record shows, was it 3 votes?
Yes, sir. 3 days.
3-8, that motion failed.
Mr. Mayor? Could I make a motion to adjourn for executive session regarding personnel?
No, you can.
I'd like
But
to make a
this
motion
motion-
for
this
executive
motion-
session for personnel.
Second.
The properly moved and second to adjourn for executive, on personnel. Okay, Mr. Attorney.
When you ain't got no skin in the game,
All right.
that's what you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think that was the quickest executive session we had.
Thank you.
Helen, what would you like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to reconsider the last vote.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes.
One moment. I do believe, because the yea votes were Gilliard, Willis, and Jackson, right?
Yes.
And so the prevailing side are the, anybody except.
No, that's not what the attorney told me a few minutes ago. I believe that, but that's not what he said. Mr. Attorney. Okay, are we straight?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. All right. It's been properly moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Go right ahead.
With respect to everybody here, I just like to say that whenever I'm caught in a formality where hands are up, I'm not gonna go out like that and just because there's pressure in front of me. So I was caught in a situation where the formality had already transpired. So before I rush to judgment and make a decision when I have a question, I would rather do what I just did. With respect to your time, we're back, and I'd like to make that motion to reconsider and move forward.
That's all right. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand so we can see. 1, 2, 3, 4. That motion passed. Congratulations. Well, won't you stand up? Stand up, Judge. Hold it. Before y'all do that, I forgot that was just a motion to reconsider. All right, now here we go. I would entertain a motion to accept the nomination for judge.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the nomination for our municipal judge, chief municipal judge, to be Tiffany Sellers for the city of South Fulton.
I second.
Properly moved and second, in discussion. All those in favor, raise your hand. That passed, you can stand up now. Is that it? Oh, the
The last agenda item, Mr. Mayor, members of council, is a resolution. Well, actually, it's a supplemental resolution authorizing among other.
Excuse me, can you kind of keep it silent, please?
Okay, under resolution number 2017-051, supplemental resolution authorizing, among other things, the issuance and sale of a taxable tax anticipation note in the principal amount of $3 million.
I'll entertain a motion.
Kim, you want some explanation?
Yes, that's.
You want to do it? Okay. Mayor, members of council, as you may recall, at the very start of the city council had approved a TAN in the amount of $12 million.
Right.
We had taken only $9 million. This is for the second part of that, a $3 million. It is taxable where the other one was not. It just means you have a slight increase in the interest rate. So the interest rate on this note is 2.92. It's payable by the end of the year.
I can do it.
And if I may, that interest rate is $87,600.
Boy, that 1.2 sounds a little different when you, sounds a little different when you put the figure out there. 2.9. So what are you asking us for now?
If you approve the resolution, then it authorizes the city to enter into a TAN. The paperwork has been prepared. It was ready to go early on. The city just decided to forego it unless and until it was decided that it was needed. And I believe that
I
finance.
remember we did that when we were doing that, yeah. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the city of South Fulton taxable tax anticipation note with the interest rate of 2.92%.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion?
I just have.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So we cut our millage rate, gave up $1 million, and now we're borrowing $3 million. Is that what's going on, or what's the $3 million?
The $3 million was authorized before. This is to basically authorize to draw it down. But to what your resolution passes does authorize you to borrow the additional $3 million. Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm going to point out, this does speak to a point I made earlier. Our revenue is not we haven't received the revenue that was anticipated. So out of the 26 million budget, we're about 25% of it, so we definitely need some money for cash flow.
Right. Okay, Mr. Baker?
The TAN is coming from Iberia Bank again in Louisiana, correct?
Right. That's right. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That passes. That it? Well, I will set the motion to adjourn. Y'all want to stay here?
No. Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said second? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody.